Hey, welcome back. Three times the charm. We're going to wrap this up in the third one, okay, y'all? What a morning. And you gotta be on it. You know, podcasting is always hard work. People think it's easy, but it's a little harder than you think because you got to research stuff. You got to grab clippings. You got to structure the graphics and all that stuff. I make my own graphics. I do my own designs, my own logo. I designed everything. Every single thing that you see on this, I designed in the presentation of it, the intro, all that good stuff. And then, but you got to go grab the clips around the world, the different news outlets and all that stuff like that. So, and like I said, I wanted to go in there and look and see if I had a lot of the news conference and stuff so we could kind of get their talking points. You know, we don't got to listen to all of it, but at least enough so we can see what the mindset was for the different things that was going on in the fire, the California Raging Firestorm, Part 3. Okay, I said it's going to be 4, but I think we can knock it out in 3, okay? So, welcome back, guys. Long morning. Very productive. Setting up a social media presence is something else, you know. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of discipline. It's because you got to be constant with it. You got to be aggressive with it. You got to have the energy. And no matter how much coffee I use, I wake up so early to do editing and different stuff in my film world. Because, you know, I'm trying to release about 6 movies this year, and I'm doing good. It's looking really good. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of, like, you know, tidying up things and making sure that it's nothing else I could have done with it. And then letting it go and letting the people be the viewers, be the judge of it after that. So we'll talk about that more later. But yeah, the California Within the Reckoning. California Within the Reckoning. In our 3-episode California Raging Firestorm episodes. And I'm doing a lot to kind of give it to you guys on multiple platforms. You know what I mean? And boy, to try to get you guys to like, subscribe, and follow my channels on YouTube and Rumble. Please, I need your assistance. I need your help. I need you guys to help me build this thing, and I'm not gonna let you down. I need you guys to go into the chat, put in $1, $2, $5, whatever you can. Go into the description area. If you can't put it in the chat, put it in the Venmo, put it in the PayPal. We got a lot of work to do. I want to bring other people in here. I want to bring panels in here. We gonna do really cool stuff, man, and give good objective analysis to it. You're gonna see me make sure that everybody be objective to what comes out their mouth, and I'll confrontate with them to make sure that they actually speaking truth when they communicate anything. So, like I said, Individual Perspective Podcast is when your truth is the objective truth, because the things that we communicate is just what it is, and it's the truth. Okay? I thank you guys for your time. The last couple of days been hardcore, and I even see in the little, I've been kind of constantly trying to be disciplined to do the little short clips, because there's a lot of engagement with the short clips, and I'm thinking that would drive audience to my platform and the Individual Perspective Podcast. If you guys can, please don't just watch the video. You may not like me, you may not like my voice and everything, but I'm trying to give you a good service here, a good presentation here, and something that's, you know, I think it's a lot of presentation to what I'm doing than a lot of things that people just come online and just start talking, but they don't really have a presentation for you. And you guys really support that. So I'm giving you that and more in a presentation situation. So just, if you can, please support me. We're nothing without our viewers, without our watchers and stuff. And I'm not here to, like, tell you to level up, 6-figure. You get what I'm saying? I'm not here for that. I'm more here just to tell you what's going on in the society, how to psychologically analyze, how I psychologically analyze what my individual perspective of it is. And if it's so what aligns with yours and you see validity in what I'm doing when you go vet me, then that's the best I could do. And I hope that, while you're fixing up your car, while you're doing your engineering work, while you're coding, while you're building a house, while you're doing whatever you're doing, multitasking, because remember, a podcast is audio form. You should not have to watch the screen in order to enjoy a podcast. You should be able to let it play and listen to it and not really have to come to the screen and see something. You get what I'm saying? If I even express something that I see, I'll actually describe what I'm seeing too, just to make sure that it's fully conveyed in the podcast. Okay? And that's what I do. Like I said, I've been doing podcasts since 2008. Like recording and capturing it for historical purposes. 2015, 2016, 2017, I was in it. And like, I got a lot of audio podcasts that I'm gonna put on this platform, and there's a lot of them. It's hundreds of hours of it. Also, I did another podcast with a great friend. I call him my brother because he's like a brother to me. His name is Khalil Biddle. He passed, and we did a podcast called Life Choice Health and Wealth. Phenomenal. We did some great predictions on the 2020 pandemic and during the process of it and all that. And that's called Life Choice Health and Wealth. You can go to Apple Podcasts, you can go to Spotify, SoundCloud, and you can see these episodes and listen to them and everything like that. Well, actually listen to them because I think they're audio form. So in the midst of that, that's what I kind of let you guys know, that I'm not just coming on here to kind of be another podcaster with no credentials or efficiency to what I'm doing. I got a background in this, and yeah, sometimes I'm still, in a way, I'm trying to not use profanity because I love profanity and I'm a big profanity nut, you know what I mean? Because I love emphasis. I love emphasizing, always aggressive. I want you to feel what I'm saying and everything. So I try to stop myself from doing that, in addition to not say something that alienates a lot of my friends and family and people I've been around and interacting with, even though I think I shouldn't even have to worry about that, because the relationship is what it is, and I shouldn't have to kind of care if I alienate people that doesn't have the focus in the determined for the long run, and they want it easy. They think that great reward comes easy, and it doesn't. So, but that's a whole nother situation. You can see me rant about that in cryptic ways and some of my little shorts and stuff like that. So, but we are back to do part 3 of California Raging Firestorm, part 3, okay? And let's jump right into it, and we're going to go to some of the news conferences I talked to you about to kind of have them explain themselves so we can know what happened.
Yeah, the DWP was talking about the problems with the water supply, and I was wondering if either the DWP or the fire department has any kind of numbers to talk about, like what is the number of hydrants that could not get water because of these pressure issues, what percentage of the system in Pacific Palisades wasn't getting serviced at that point, and given the type of things you're describing this morning, do you think there needs to be an overhaul of the system, given these increasing number of urban fires? And also, when does the mayor return?
And name and media outlet, please.
David Zahnizer with the Los Angeles Times.
Thank you.
So, Chief, please correct me if I'm wrong, but we were trying to keep water at all altitudes on the Palisades, and I think about 3 in.the morning, that's when the hydrants went dry above the Brentwood area. We are able to push water on that trunk line on the east side of that, and we have some water on the higher elevations, 16 to 18,000. But at 3,000, at 3 a.m., all of the fire hydrants went dry in the Palisades. To your question of climate resiliency and how do we need to update the system, I would say that is true. We were talking with the county supervisor and Mark on how are we going to change the way we operate our water systems for events like this. This is an unprecedented event. I think the 2011 winds was significant from a power outage perspective, but the fires have really increased the response complexity of this. We had crews trying to mitigate this, and we had to evacuate. We worked with fire department to try to get back in and try to fill the tanks again. It was unsafe to do so. So you're managing the fires, you're managing the power outage, and you're managing the water needs because it was an urban wildfire firefighting. So yes, we have to look at our system from a climate resiliency as a region. And it's going to be more than just DWP. It's all the water agencies here, including the county.
Thank you. Over here in the burgundy with a mask. Name and media outlet, please.
Real quick, I can speak on the operational side of the hydrants. We don't have a specific number to the hydrants. We do know that it came in phases. Now, our firefighters always have a primary plan, a backup plan, contingency, and emergency plan. So oftentimes, just so that the public is aware, in large brush fires, water supplies are normally limited. So with that, our apparatus do have the ability to draft water if we need to out of pools, ponds, any type of water resource. We also utilize the water tenders, in which we spoke about a little bit earlier. So with that, I just wanted to clarify that. In regard to when the mayor is returning, I spoke to her this morning at 4 o'clock. She's on her way for the last leg of her journey back home from Dallas, so her ETA is right around noon.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, so the mayor's, I guess she was on her way back when they showed a little glimpse of her when the guy was questioning her. She was loading the plane from Uganda and coming back to America. So she's on her way back, and I guess they had like a 2-flight layover or something, or like she transferred from one place to the next one, or she was loading the plane or whatever. I don't know. In addition to the fire hydrants, they don't really got no excuse for it. They said they were bone dry by 3 a.m. You get what I'm saying? And they not even gonna even say we got to stop our liberal climate change or not want to damage the smelt fish pond and all that stuff. We got to get all the water that we possibly can to come into the city because this bone dry woods is not smart. You know what I'm saying? So, and then the maintenance of the woods and they're not even gonna say it because why? They give narrative to Trump and validation to everything he says. So they try to deny it and not even try to implement something that works. I don't care who it comes from. If it works, do it. You know what I mean? Ridiculous. More talking heads.
What's happening? All I want is good news. My son lives out here in Kuwait. They got a notification yesterday their home is probably burning around. Today, it appears that maybe still standing, we're not sure. But the good news is, I'm a great-grandfather as of today. My granddaughter was
everybody's house burning down. He's saying, "Oh, I thought that Hunter's house was burned, but we found out today it wasn't burned." But the good news is, I'm a grandfather again. You've been a grandfather, idiot. A great grandfather. You get what I'm saying? It's ridiculous. I'm not even gonna get into their family craziness, but that's not no good news. Keep that to yourself, you idiot. And he's not an idiot. He's a shrewd guy. That's why he's been in government for 60 years and getting all that government money that y'all give him. Y'all can't give me $1, $2 in my cash, in my PayPal and my Venmo to fight these people on your behalf. Come on, y'all. Like, follow, subscribe, please. Thank you. Got a big fight. I love you. I'm doing this for you. You go do your thing, you become a capitalist, you become great, and then just let me give you data and information so you can just listen to. And I'll do your podcast to work for you, okay?
In California, Mr. President, during the pandemic, you often said that you didn't believe that you should bail out blue states that you believe were being mismanaged. Given your criticism of Governor Gavin Newsom, are you willing to work with him, and do you believe that federal aid should be provided to California for as long as it takes?
Well, it's very sad because I've been trying to get Gavin Newsom to allow water to come. You'd have tremendous water up there. They send it out to the Pacific because they're trying to protect a tiny little fish, which is in other areas, by the way, called a smelt. And for the sake of a smelt, they have no water. They had no water in the fire hydrants today in Los Angeles. It was a terrible thing. And we're going to get that done. It's going to finally be done. I got it done from the federal side, and he didn't want to sign it, but it's not going to happen again like that. There's no reason. Can you imagine? You have farmers that don't have any water in California. They have plenty of water. They don't have a drought. They send it out to the Pacific, and it's crazy. So what's happening in California is a true tragedy. I know those areas very well. I have many friends living in those houses. That is a true tragedy. Nobody ever thought. I mean, virtually Beverly Hills and areas around Beverly Hills are being decimated. The biggest homes, some of the most valuable homes in the world are just destroyed. I don't even know. You know, you talk about a tax base. If those people leave, you're going to lose half your tax base of California. This is a true tragedy, and it's a mistake of the governor, and you could say the administration. They don't have any water. They didn't have water in the fire hydrants. They don't have water. And yet they have, the water comes from, you know where? Up north. And it comes down at levels, they give millions and millions of barrels of gallons of water that they have, and they send it out into the Pacific. For the Pacific, it's like a drop, it's nothing. But for California, it would take care of the whole state. So what's happened is a tragedy, and the governor has not done a good job. With that being said, I got along well with him when he was governor. We worked together very well, and we would work together. I guess it looks like we're going to be the one having to rebuild it. But what happened there, I don't think there's anything that I've ever seen quite like it. And the insurance companies are going to have a big problem, because you're talking about big, big dollars.
Mr. President,
Okay, so yeah, and then like that's an update for him. It's pretty much recent since this fire and stuff. So like he's talking about the smelt fish again. You get what I'm saying? And he's right. If you go look up all the things he's talking about California engineers and the actual governor and the government, they routed all the water flow that's coming from Canada, like oceans of it. Let's say rivers of it, and they routed it into the Pacific Ocean. You guess because they didn't want to damage up a area, or like they didn't want to overwhelm the smelt fish with the pipeline coming through, or the structure coming through, or the water coming into the different, pretty much into the state for the water system and the water supply system. So go do your research on that, and you'll see that is actually accurate. Okay. More from the hacks.
With CBS News for Mayor Bass, please.
She's back.
Mayor, LA County is in a panic state. It began 2 days ago with the Palisades fire. My crew and I arrived shortly after it started. And for several hours, we watched as hundreds of homes in a neighborhood burned to the ground. We did not see a single fire engine. We watched as Good Samaritans guided traffic. There was fear, and there was a lot of confusion. You were out of the country at the time. Shortly after the fire started, a press release was put out warning of this fire behavior. My question to you is, what explains this lack of preparation and rapid response?
Let me just say, first and foremost, my number one focus, and I think the focus of all of us here with one voice, is that we have to protect lives, we have to save lives, and we have to save homes. Rest assured that when rest assured, let me finish. Rest assured.
Yeah, that's terrible.
When that is done, when we
for Mayor Bass.
I love how she said what her goal was, and she felt that all of those. And the administration felt that all of, and the governor felt that all those. So why would you even put yourself in a situation where you talk about where your priority is to be effective in these areas, and these are the areas you messed up in?
All of us here with one voice is that we have to protect lives, we have to save lives, and we have to save homes. Rest assured that when rest assured, let me finish. Rest assured, when that is done, when we are safe, when lives have been saved and homes have been saved, we will absolutely do an evaluation to look at what worked, what didn't work, and to correct or to hold accountable any body, department, individual, etc. But my focus right now is on the lives and on the homes.
Do you think your leadership was effective while responding to this disaster?
I just said what I believe is the most important thing for us to do right now, and that is going to continue to be my focus. Thank you.
Yeah, see? Politician. Gibberish. Let's see how this one looks before I go.
We take you live now to Los Angeles, where officials are
Shame
updating
on
the
those
battle
who are
against the
preying
raging
on our
wildfires.
residents
Let's listen.
during this time of crisis. The emergency order will be strictly enforced by the Sheriff's Department, who are proactively patrolling to protect these communities from looting and any criminal activity. They have made 20 arrests of individuals who will be held accountable.
Sir.
Boy, I tell you, they looting, which everybody, is better than that car getting that hoopty get burnt like that. Man, it's terrible, man. People just letting everything just go, and just letting it just get wiped out.
This order will be strictly enforced by the Sheriff's Department, who are proactively patrolling to protect these communities from looting and any criminal activity. They have made 20 arrests of individuals who will be held accountable for the actions that they've taken. I want to thank President Joe Biden and Governor Gavin Newsom for pledging to bring federal and state resources to help Los Angeles County in our moment of need. President Biden's disaster declaration includes the promise of public assistance and individual assistance. We will begin the process of rebuilding. We will have critical resources available to ensure the residents of our communities are not fighting these battles alone. I intend to bring in a motion with Supervisor Horvath as my co-chair or co-author to ratify the county's emergency proclamation at the next Board of Supervisors meeting. Make no mistake, this board and this county will continue to do everything in our power to ensure the safety of our residents as we look forward to the path of recovery. With that, I would like to introduce Supervisor Lindsay Horvath.
With the mayor, but let's announce the elected officials.
Okay, so who are we going to? Mayor Bass. I'd like to introduce LA City Mayor Bass.
Thank you, Supervisor. One voice, that is the way we speak, and that is the way we stand here united. Los Angeles will stand united and stand strong. So first of all, my thoughts are with the thousands of Angelenos who are impacted by this emergency.
Such liberal rhetoric, man. One voice, blah, 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 blah. They just can't talk like a human being. Human being, no psychological warfare, like wordplay and phrasing that's to psychologically manipulate people and have them a little bit more like favorable to the way you look at things. No way. It's ridiculous. Let this play. I'm going to grab some water.
More Angelenos were forced to make the terrifying decision to evacuate. Our priorities, of course, are to keep Angelenos safe and to protect homes. The winds continue to be of a historic nature and a key factor of this firestorm. For much of Tuesday, the unprecedented winds prevented air operations to continue. However, as of yesterday, the winds have allowed for air operations, and that has enabled significant progress against the fires in Hollywood and Studio City last night. And as of 7:30 this morning, evacuation orders in Hollywood have been lifted. Angelenos cooperated. The community stood together. They evacuated, and Angelenos should continue to proceed with caution. Air operations are continuing rapidly in the Palisades, in Sylmar, and across our region. We continue to see our heroes, from our LA firefighters and from personnel, families, neighbors from across the county and the state. We thank you. However, we continue to confront a big one-level firestorm. Historic winds and extensive drought have created a perfect storm that has driven people from their homes and have taken people's homes, and that has taken people's lives. I've been in the fire zones, and you can see how fast and devastating these wind-driven fires are. I know people from all over the nation are asking how they can help. So here are two essential ways. First of all, support the California Community Foundation Wildlife Recovery Fund at calfund.org, and support the Los Angeles Fire Department Foundation at supportlafd.org. And in addition to shelters, Airbnb is offering free temporary housing. Go to 211la.org for more information. This, as we know, is a regional crisis. So working together is the only way we will get through this. That's why I've been in constant contact with my colleagues at the county, state, and federal level, President Biden, Governor Newsom.
That Airbnb ain't free. Okay, that Airbnb ain't free. Okay, but look, go. It's free to the citizens though, and I love how she kind of named like the drought. You get what I'm saying? The issue. It's like it's already. No, they're gonna keep everything the same, and it's not gonna be no change.
Have assured us. However, we continue to confront a big one-level firestorm. Historic winds and extensive drought have created a perfect storm that has driven people from their homes and have taken people's homes.
And when she said it's strong winds and extensive drought, it leaves it ambiguous. You can't nail how to give solutions to it, because she said this drought is not enough rain that's coming down on the forest in the state to kind of like put water naturally into the environment. Well, it didn't it goes back to that what that lady said in the second episode, where she said it's like it was fated to burn. Los Angeles is fated to burn. If God in the nature doesn't give water to the forest, into the land, then it means that it wants it dry. And just in case somebody pop a cigarette or something cuts on fire or a campfire get out of control, and it's just naturally, and it's just kind of like go to a wildfire. It's just the time that it was naturally. It was built and formed and structured to just completely burn Los Angeles down. That's the narrative. You get what I'm saying? So it's almost like I'm telling you guys, extreme liberals, they have an ideology that is too much people on the planet harming the planet. And any way that you could kill people to balance out things is for the greater good. That's how they think. They won't say it like that. They'll put it in all kind of psychological, social dynamics and social evolutional or social evolutional process of the way it's such a psychological warfare to how they say the most savage and destructive things are for the greater good. You get what I'm saying? So your rights got to be destroyed in order for enjoyment of the littlest person. That's how they look at things, and whatever that is, okay? I know I'm talking gibberish in a way. It's not. It's really in a big scope of the psychological warfare and the propaganda and the political propaganda coming from the Democrats to the Republicans to the Democrats, the CIA, the FBI, the DOJ, the powers that be, the leaders and the psychological wealthy people and the well-to-do people of our society versus the consumption farting humans with the cows and stuff, illuminating carbon dioxide into the air, and they destroying our ozone and stuff like this. This is crazy. And the windmills are horrible. You can't even bear, you're supposed to be able to take down a windmill and bury it because the earth is supposed to be able to consume it and break it up. Even metal gets broken up. They say you can't even do that to windmills, so you can't even bury it. You get what I'm saying? So it's a waste. It get rusted, and it's just there for decades and centuries to come. And it's supposed to be the solvents of our new generation, but birds are flying into them, and they say it's like if you walk up to a windmill, you'll see it like a bunch of dead birds, like hundreds of dead birds right at your feet if you walk up to a windmill. It's crazy. So it's look, I know I'm going too much into the ideology of Trump, but it's true. If he wasn't speaking truthful, then I wouldn't bring it up. But when it's objective and it's true, I'm bringing it up.
And that has taken people's lives. I've been in the fire zones, and you can see how fast and devastating these wind-driven fires are. I know people from all over the nation are asking how they can help. So here are 2 essential ways. First of all, support the California Community Foundation Wildlife Recovery Fund at calfund.org. And support the Los Angeles Fire Department Foundation at supportlafd.org. And in addition to shelters, Airbnb is offering free temporary housing. Go to 211LA.org for more information. This, as we know, is a regional crisis. So working together is the only way we will get through this. That's why I've been in constant contact with my colleagues at the county, state, and federal level. President Biden, Governor Newsom have assured us of full state and federal support. And of course, County Chair Barger and I are fully coordinated, as I am with all of the local elected officials. And our fire departments, police departments, utilities, and other critical agencies are coordinated as well. We have pre-deployed, we are executing a strategy, and we are adapting to conditions on the ground in real time. This is absolutely an unprecedented historic firestorm, but we are all hands on deck. We need to continue to cooperate. We need to evacuate when asked to do so. We need to help others, help our neighbors. And first and foremost, we need to stay united. We need to stay strong. A united LA is the way we will recover, is the way we rebuild our communities. And with that, I believe I am introducing Supervisor Lindsay Horvat.
Yeah, so that's enough. Let me go to one of her Q&As. So let's go to
Bob DeCastro, because he was where city officials were holding a news conference earlier this morning, giving updates on this fire and answering some tough questions, especially directed to Mayor Karen Bass. Bob, what did she say?
Well, she was not at that press conference yesterday, as you may remember, because she was returning from a trip out of the country. She was in Africa, and many had questioned why she was not here when this crisis broke out, when everyone knew, according to the National Weather Service, that this was going to be a life-threatening and destructive windstorm. Well, when asked specifically by a reporter, in his words, was a lack of preparation and a lack of rapid response, she simply said that she is simply focused on saving lives and property, and she did not go beyond that. She didn't say anything else. I asked her specifically about the criticism that she slashed the LA Fire Department budget by more than $17 million. Some rank-and-file firefighters have said that they're weary, that they are stretched too thin, and that impacted the firefight. Here's what she had to say. Can you address the criticism now over the budget issue and the slashing, $17 million slashing?
You know, I think if you go back and look at the reductions that were made, there were no reductions that were made that would have impacted the situation that we were dealing with over the last couple of days. And then there was a little bit of confusion because money was allocated to be distributed later on which was actually going to support salaries and other parts of the fire department that were distributed a little later. So I think it's most important to understand that we were in tough budgetary times. Everybody knew that, but that the impact of our budget really did not impact what we've been going through over the last few days. Again, back to the unprecedented windstorm, wind at such ferocity that we haven't seen in years.
I will tell you, a member of the mayor's staff did approach me after the press conference and presented me with a couple of articles which seemed to suggest that the budget was actually increased for the LA Fire Department during that time. And they said that the numbers were interpreted a different way. But I did speak with LAFD Chief Crowley, who did affirm that there were cuts, but she said that they tried to mitigate some of those cuts by making those cuts in what she called non-essential services. You do talk to rank and file, and many of them do say there was a $17 million cut, and it did affect them. On another note, I do want to point out, Roxanne, Sandra, that a lot of news came out of here. One of the big data points I want to tell you about is the 20 people who were arrested because of looting in these fire zones. And I did talk to LA County Sheriff Luna, Chief Luna, and he does tell me that they are increasing and stepping up patrols in that area. He says that as you approach some of the stops before you get into these fire zones, that they are going to start screening people a little bit more acutely. They're going to make sure that only essential people go into these fire zones. And they say if you are illegally trespassing in these.
And the firestone is like houses that already kind of cut on fire. They got fire and stuff like that. So you shouldn't be over there unless you're the family or the person that owns it, and you're seeing if it's anything that you could retrieve that's pretty much in the open. And maybe it's a certain majority of the house got burnt down, but it's certain rooms that didn't get destroyed that much where you still got valuables or something that may be in there because the looters are coming in. They're kind of taking all the good stuff.
Screening people a little bit more acutely. They're going to make sure that only essential people go into these fire zones. And they say if you are illegally trespassing in these areas, he says you will be arrested. He went on to say that they are exploring the possibility of curfews, of legal curfews in these fire zones. That's something that we could see in the near future. And he also told me that they're looking at the possibility of getting the National Guard to come out here and help them police these areas.
Okay, so that's enough of that. Well, that kind of lets you know how they're responding. Like I said, this is the aftermath. This is the California raging firestorm aftermath. Okay, so I just want to kind of take you into how they responding, and it ain't good. It ain't good.
Here, evacuation order for Malibu, east of Las Flores.
As the emergency alerts continue unabated across Los Angeles, Rachel is returning to the Pacific Palisades.
Oh, 719 Island Street, gone.
It's been home her whole life, but she barely recognises it.
Apocalypse.
Around every corner, almost complete destruction.
This was a little cooking store thing. This is a parking lot for a center.
Firefighting planes bringing water from the ocean to tackle the blazes still raging in all parts of this city. Growing too is anger at a perceived lack of preparedness by authorities.
We shouldn't be seeing this. We shouldn't. This is where people need to wake up. Because if you're voting and you're picking people for softness or for the fuzzy feeling you got because they seem like they're good people, I want to know that we're going to have someone in charge.
Then Rachel spots a face she recognises.
Is that Gavin Newsom? That's the governor.
Yes, that's your governor.
The governor. Governor, I live here, governor. That was my daughter's school, Governor. Please tell me what you're going to do. I'm not going to hurt him, I promise.
I'm literally talking to the president right now to specifically.
she was going up to him, and the security was trying to like stop her, and she and he was ready to pop her, and she's like, "Oh, I'm not gonna hurt him. Come down with your gun." You know what I mean? That's interesting. Wow.
Apocalypse.
Around every corner, almost complete destruction.
This was a little cooking store thing. This is a parking lot for a center.
Firefighting planes bringing water from the ocean to tackle the blazes still raging in all parts of this city. Growing too is anger at a perceived lack of preparedness by authorities.
We shouldn't be seeing this. We should. This is where people need to wake up. Because if you're voting and you're picking people for softness,
right,
or for the fuzzy feeling you got because they seem like they're good people,
right,
I want to know that we're going to have someone in charge.
They don't mean that they're effective, and that's what she means. Like it is, and it's how they run their companies. All these people that live in these areas, they own companies. They're managers. They make efficient money because they do efficient jobs, and they got major responsibility for outcome. So for them to act like they don't want that kind of response from their senators or their congressmen or their mayors or their governors, it's ridiculous. And they're finding that out, but it's a little bit too late. Your city got burnt down.
Then Rachel spots a face she recognises.
Is that Gavin Newsom? That's the governor. That's the governor. Governor, I live here, governor. That was my daughter's school, Governor. Please tell me what you're going to do. I'm not going to hurt him, I promise.
I'm literally talking to the president right now to specifically answer the question of what we can do for you and your daughter.
Can I hear it? Can I hear your call? Because I don't believe it.
California Governor Gavin Newsom is being criticised by some for water mismanagement as high.
For a white lady to kind of confrontate with the governor like that, she's a Republican, but she's in like a toxic state to be a Republican, and that aggressive too, and that interactive too with her mindset. Can I see your call? Can I hear your call? Because I don't believe you. Like, wow. That's in your face. That's some conservatism or anti-democrat. What are you doing in California, lady? Go move to Texas.
Hydrants ran dry while fires multiplied.
So I have to get cell service.
So let's get it. Let's get it. I want to be here when you call.
So he said that he was on the phone with the president now, but he wasn't on the phone with the president because he couldn't get a cell tower. He couldn't get a signal out for his phone to ring, so he lied just a few seconds ago. And in addition to that, what are you calling the president for? You guys make $500 billion a year in that state. You know what I'm saying? $500 billion a year in just the companies and the employment and all the different apparatus of whatever the barter trade commerce situation with California. They make $500 billion a year. So why are you like calling the president for? You can get that extra funding or recouping of you spending money. What is you doing as a governor? All the power that you need, you have it. You got your own engineering team there, your own National Guard there, your own everything. What are you talking about the president for and talking to the president for him to solve whatever needs you need and all the other stuff? All that stuff come after the fact. Y'all can put hundreds of billions of dollars of like loans on the country, on the state, and just give it away and recoup it with your revenue and all that stuff. So it's just ridiculous. What are you talking to the president for? It's ridiculous.
Call the president.
I appreciate it. I'm doing that right now, and it's to immediately get reimbursements, individual assistance, and to help you. I'm devastated for you. I'm so sorry, especially for your daughter. I have 4 kids. Losing the school.
Everyone who went to school there, they lost their homes. They lost 2 homes because they were living in one and building another. Governor, please tell me, what are you going to do with the president right now?
We're getting the resources to help rebuild. We're getting
Why
the
was there no
resources to
water in the hydrants, Governor?
That's all literally.
Is it going to be different next time?
It has to be. Has to be. Of course.
What are you going to do?
I'm doing
To
everything
fill the
I can.
hydrants. I would fill them up personally. You know that.
Is she? Who is she?
I literally have.
I would fill up the hydrants myself.
I understand.
But would you do that?
She's crazy. I would do whatever I can.
But you're not. I see the. Do you know there's water dripping over there, Governor? There's water coming out there. You can use it.
Diminishing winds are
Who is that lady? What's the background on her? I gotta go do some research on that.
bringing some respite for firefighters, but it's
Bessie.
likely to be brief. As estimated losses surge, there is still zero containment of this fire. Officials say they don't know the death toll.
Look at
Dogs will be brought in to search this rubble for fatalities.
Dude, wow.
Jeffrey and his partner Nicole are returning to their seaside community, once a little slice of paradise.
Each one is an individual
Oh, yeah.
neighbor. So this is my dearest friend, Gayleen, who I've known for my whole life, 35 years. That was our clubhouse where we would play pool every Friday. That was Ben's house. These are like my closest friends here.
They
Living right off the beach in the water. Oh, boy, craziness.
sift through the dust. In a plastic box, everything they can find. A turtle figurine, a garden gnome, a house name plaque. It's very little, but in a place where the loss is so huge, it means so much.
Wow. Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Oh, it's up close and personal. That lady was aggressive, man. Very aggressive.
Mr. President, what you gonna do, Mr. President? Did Gavin Newsom call you? Did Gavin Newsom call you?
Have you been told about the lawsuit so much?
Thank you, Brad.
Whoa, hey, I'm going to be talking a little later this afternoon. We got the
He was gonna blow it. He was like, oh boy, I tell you, it's a mess, man.
you're asking about, from Russian energy to.
Have you been told about the lawsuit so much? Thank you, Brad.
Whoa, hey, I'm going to be talking a little later this afternoon about a number of things you're asking about, from Russian energy to what's going on in terms of the economy. But let's focus on this issue now. We're going to just focus on this, and we'll be back on the rest. If it's about this, you can ask me a question.
It's about this. Yes. May I just ask you about, you mentioned yesterday that you're about to leave office. Are you coordinating with the incoming administration about this federal response?
Everything they know, every single thing we're doing about the response. My hope is that they'll have at least acknowledge we have some significant experience in this. We've done really well on it. I'm praying that they continue to focus.
Mr. President, have you been told that the loss of life is likely to increase significantly in California?
It is likely it will increase. Whether significantly or not, we don't know yet. There's still a lot of people are unaccounted for. We don't know where they are. I think this toll is likely to go up, whether it's significant or not. Pray God it's not, but it could be.
How concerned are you about looting, Mr. President? How concerned are you about looting, incidents of looting in Los Angeles? Where
And that's why I provided more police officers and more military. Look, the DOD is in full bore with this. We're providing everything from security through the military, the National Guard, supplementing the National Guard, because there's clear evidence that there's looting. There's clear evidence that people are going into these even places where they're evacuated, and it's not all rubble, and people are going in and they're looting. And so we know that will continue unless we make sure we're providing the help to prevent it from happening.
Why is this reporter? Why is this cameraman looking at the press? Curious who's asking the question. Look at the president. He's the subject. Idiot.
Well, I think whether I'm going to be here to suggest it, I have 10 days left. We have 10 days left, but we're briefing the incoming administration.
You're such an idiot. My God. Oh, look, like, I'm sorry, y'all. I reacted to this as well as you are. The opposition. What's wrong with you? Well, I tell you, dog, it's a fight. Oh, the opposition. Oh, the incoming administration. Whew. Toxic, man. And y'all love that. Y'all, I haven't forgiven family, friends, or anyone for voting for these people in 2020 or sitting on the sideline. Sitting on the sideline. I always tell my family, friends, and everybody, don't let me get leveled. I'm going to use everything against the decisions y'all made in the last 8 years. It took money off it took money off your table. Took money out of your family's pocket. It took prosperity away from all of the people you know. Really, the last 4 years actually touched a lot of black people. A lot of black people. And those black people were leveling up in 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020. I was out there, I know. And the last 4 years was like, oh, we gonna put law enforcement on Cash App, on Venmo, on PayPal. We're gonna make sure that even if you make it $1,000 extra every year with those things, we're gonna take from those. We're gonna try to find some of that money, some of that extra money for us to pay our government employees. Wild stuff, y'all. Look, I know I'm going off. Forest fire, California raging, California raging, forest storm. That's the agenda.
On what they're going to have to do. Look, we have an awful lot of experience in this, unfortunately. Climate change has been real. It's been real for the last 4 years of our administration. We've seen devastating impacts and consequences.
Would you try to see if his hand's shaking? Yeah. What is this cameraman doing? What is the cameraman doing? We trying to see if he got the shakes or something. He don't. He's very lucid.
It's just like, it's going to take more funding. I mean, look, you're the most informed people in the country. I'm not being facetious.
No, they're not.
You cover this every single minute.
That's a lie.
You've seen what these downtowns look like. It's a shopping. I mean, they look like a bomb hit, though. They look like they've actually been blown up. Entire sections of the cities. Blown up. Just to remove the debris. Is an incredibly expensive undertaking. We're going to do it for them. We're going to get it done. We're going to pay for it. But we've got to be prepared to pay for it. And when we do, we got to build back better than we did before. So thank you.
Hold on a second. I just want to say this, and then we can go to knock out these clips. Your Build Back Better campaign felt you had to actually eject yourself like a parachute, like a fleeing pilot of a F-16. You had to eject yourself out of the jet because your Build Back Better was garbage. And then you got the nerve to close out the narrative of what happened with California as we're going to build back better. So you're using your crappy ass talking points, slogans. This is ridiculous. Unbelievable.
There was one last question. Do I have any estimates of cost? I could tell you, based on my experience, what I think the cost will be, but I'm not going to do that because we don't know. We want to make sure when we get the cost estimate, it's real, we've thought it through, we got the engineer.
Dude, in 10 days, you're not even a president no more. Who gives a shit? Why'd you even try to answer this question or even initiate this question? And I'm sorry, I just cussed the first time. Sorry about that. I said the S word. I apologize. Because I want you guys to be able to listen to this podcast anywhere and Not that profane language has got to go, which I think I did good by not using any profane language. So, okay, back to it.
There's the scientists in to give us the best assessment of what's happening. And one of the things that is going to have to change, and we've been a broken record on this for the last 3 years, we got to change the way in which we transmit energy. And these high tension wires that are the things that cause some. Remember, we had someone from the other team talking about, well, we just ought to sweep the floor, the forest floor, so we have no.
Someone from the other team. The president-elect, two-term president, Donald J. Trump. Somebody from the other team. Boy, I'll tell you. Adversarial, man. At all times.
Fires. Come on, man. You know, the idea is if we had these wires underground, it's a hell of a lot safer. We wouldn't have as many fires as we have now.
Oh, so the excuse is that electrical wires for power lines sparked against a tree or something and it caused the forest fire, the electrical wires. Unbelievable.
In the future, but it costs a hell of a lot of money to put it underground. So we're working out all those issues to determine what would be needed when I say build back better, to build back in a way that diminishes the prospect that the change in weather and the environment is going to continue to cause such devastation. We can protect against much of it, but it's going to cost a lot of money to do it. Thank you.
Yeah, that's enough. I don't even want to listen to this idiot no more.
In the middle of January.
Governor Youngkin, do you think it's helpful for President Donald Trump to be attacking Governor Newsom in the middle of what we're seeing in California right now?
Well, first of all, a governor's primary responsibility is to go to work to keep their state safe. And I have to say, one of the things we talk about as governors all the time is preparing and responding and then recovering after a natural disaster. What's been happening in
I love like they think the problem is Trump criticizing the governor of California for how he managing the possible firestorms that they could have, and they like, oh, you think that's for him to kind of criticize? Yeah. Somebody got y'all dressed up in suits, y'all living a life of luxury, y'all get paid too much money for your salary, and then you still incompetent and you still fail in what your actual job is. How do we let this government spend $3 trillion in Iraq, Afghanistan, doing all the different proxy wars that they did over the last 20 years, and we think that's okay? You gave $3 trillion to the American people. You would have the majority of the citizens of America highly successful. They would have more of a prosperous situation. Ask yourself, think about this. What's the debt on credit cards? It's about $1.1 trillion, okay? $1.1 trillion, okay? What is the majority science and data on credit card usage? It's for prosperity, it's for possible valuable investment in oneself. That's what majority of credit card debt get used for. Not to go party up on a mothership or go on the Bahamas or anything like that. Most people are purchasing things that make their life better and function better and give them prosperity. They may be building a company or even just buying a better computer in order to do more work or secondary work or expanding their education and their understanding and their productivity in the world that they're using. So they buy an iPad. They'll do something that's very productive, very proactive, very interactive in going forward. So most people, I'm just giving you examples, but most credit card debt is used for upper mobility. That's the science of it. Now, yeah, you get some hedge fund. You get some bankers and people that want the percentage on interest rate from the Treasury to be low. So they'll say, hey, people just spending money and wasting money to higher the interest rate. We got to teach y'all a lesson about just indiscriminately spending debt. 99% of all I'm talking big entrepreneurs put debt on themselves. They may want to purchase a building. They may want to get a loan. They already got asset funds, but they keep their funds. They keep their money. But they want to take a loan out with a bank so they can build this building. They can build this infrastructure in that building. They can build this mechanics in that building. And then they can turn over and make money to get back, to pay back that loan. So that's like an individual person deciding, you know what? I'm making this amount of money on my salary, but I'm going to purchase this computer. I'm going to purchase this website. I'm going to purchase this certain. I'm going to put it on my credit card. Okay? And then when that website and everything make money, then I'll pay it back. That's what the average person, majority, I'm talking about majority, we're talking about 55 to 60% of all credit debt people, they use the money for growth in some way. Win, lose, or draw, they was using it for growth. So should you give the taxpayer their money back if you're going to blow it anyway? That's the question. That's the question, idiots. Y'all deciding to be millionaires and billionaires and get taxed. So you ain't even trying to fight from getting taxed. It's amazing where I see millionaires and billionaires, they got so much money, they still gonna give 40, 10, 2 billion, 2 million to tax to the IRS. And all they could is just went around randomly, went around seeing if anybody had an entrepreneur idea, even if it's not such a big idea, but it's something that somebody want to do more. Okay? Hey, you know what? Here's 20 grand. You know what? Here's 10 grand. You know what? Here's 30 grand. Here's 100 grand. And make sure if you want to have a tax coding to it, give it to a low income person. Give it to a minority person, because you can write it off in tax of assistant a minority business for a come up, and they give you a tax write off of it, and you can claim that on the other millions that you try to keep. So why are millionaires and billionaires not doing that? Why is our government spending $2 trillion on COVID and not giving people, just wiping out the debt at least once every 10, 20 years if you're going to blow it anyway? If you're going to take it from the coffers, if you're going to take it from Social Security, if you're going to take it from Medicare, and you're going to blow it anyway, why not give that money back to the consumers, back to the public, back to the citizens? It makes them, most people, they go into debt and they never want to go back into debt again. So the probability of them actually being able to multiply is a higher probability once you go into debt. Once you claim bankruptcy, once you have to think about bankruptcy, you'll multiply your money. That's the science, y'all. All the other rhetoric is from haters and people that are trying to keep a space in between where they're at right now and where somebody else is trying to come. Okay? That's what's going on. So ask yourself, why? Why do millionaires and billionaires don't indiscriminately give individual loans or grants or charitable givings to up and coming prosperity people? Go search GoFundMe, go search Kickstarter, and just randomly, discriminately put it on there and then write it off as tax. Do a 1099 on the person and put it in your discretion. And it's a tax code that allows, if you're helping minority people, if you're helping low income people, that it'll allow for you to claim it in a tax write-off. So it's no reason to not help lower income people, minority people, or an up and coming entrepreneur person unless you're trying to, like you're specifically trying to keep people from being successful because get it like I got it. Get it like I got it. Get it out the mud. I ain't gonna help you get your bag unless I'm getting your bag and you just push it, unless you get me a bag to help you get a bag. It's craziness, okay? Crazy cuckoo's nest stuff. It's no excuse for the last 10, 20 years of economic play with money. It's no excuse. From 2008 to now, it's no excuse, okay? It's absolutely no excuse for how multimillionaires, multi-billionaires in the government decided not to give a level up on citizens with the money they worked 20, 30 years to put into the coffer. It's ridiculous.
What's been happening in Los Angeles has been horrific, and I think first and foremost our hearts pour out to all of those folks who have lost their homes, lost their livelihoods, and are really being driven out. I also believe that there does need to be some action, and I think that collectively between federal governments and state governments, we all work together to address these things. But let me just go right back to it. What's happening in California right now is absolutely heart-wrenching and horrific. And I think we're going to need help from the entire country in order for them to recover.
Does anyone else want to speak to that? Because you all, as governors, obviously deal with emergencies. Often you have to work with the federal government. Sometimes it's your party, sometimes it's not. What do you think about the idea of President-elect Donald Trump criticizing a governor in the middle of a disaster?
Well, first of all, I mean, when Donald Trump was president, he responded very strongly to natural disasters. I can tell you he responded very positively in Florida, but he also responded favorably when there were Democrat governors. And I think he understands the importance of these situations. You know, I will note, I mean, you talk about, you know, what you're doing. I remember when we had our hurricanes this past hurricane season. We had Hurricane Helene, and Florida, we're locked and loaded for this. We respond. But then you go to North Carolina, and it was like a third world country all of a sudden. There was no sense of urgency from the federal government. I think the state government didn't do very well. And so I'm sending my assets up there to help rescue people. Florida, the State Guard is up there doing that. And I think the administration was asleep at the switch. Then Milton came, and they knew that they had suffered some political negativity of that. So I have Harris trying to pick a fight with me in the middle of Hurricane Milton, saying, ooh, he's not taking my calls. I tell you, she never called me in my whole tenure as governor on any natural disasters, and I'm not sure she's done very much on this one, even though she's there. So, you know, these things are go how they go, but I can tell you, and I'll say the same with Biden. I worked well with Biden during his time in natural disasters, and I worked well with Donald Trump. So I'm very confident as a state that knows we face these, that a Trump administration is going to be very strong and is going to be there for the people regardless of party.
The media just can't understand how this man winning. He's winning because he's an American. We have a connection to him because he's an American. Meaning that not like an American citizen. I'm talking about he's an American. He loved triple cheeseburgers. He loved Big Macs. He loved Escalades. He loved jets, the G6. He loves 747 planes. He loved the big tanks. He loved everything that's just arrogant and boisterous about America. That's American personality. American culture is bombastic. Do you understand that, y'all? I don't know why I gotta tell this to a bunch of old ass people and some young dumb people that's in their 20s going into their 30s and they're journalists or podcast watchers or stupid podcasters or social influencers. Our culture, the brand of America, is bombastic. Okay? It's arrogant. Okay? It's high consumption. We don't want a 3-ounce steak. We want an 8-ounce steak. No, we can't eat it in the same sitting, but we want it. We like how it looks. We want it on our plate, and we want when we put our knife to it, we want to see something bigger than our knife. Okay, you guys gotta stop acting like you don't know this. Okay, and Trump is getting persecuted for people with the ideological idealism of hatred of bombasticness. They hate the gold Trump letters on a building. So they spent hundreds of billions of dollars to destroy this man for the last 12 years. Because they hate big old Trump font. They hate the Trump, like his name on buildings, and they hate him for that. It's arrogant. But that's our culture. That's our personality. So, I'm getting triggered by everything lately. Because y'all crazy. Y'all act like y'all don't know why the world is the way it is, why America ain't the way it is, why this man won 2 times, why, like, the change. And trust me, I'm going to do an episode on itself about black people voting 92% for one of the dumbest, illogical political parties ever existed in the last 100 to 200 years. There's nothing intelligent about voting for the Democrat Party. Maybe you could vote for one of their candidates, but to vote for the Democrat Party, stock and barrel, is ridiculous. And I'll talk about that somewhere very soon, because you're going to think I'm going to be an Uncle Tom on it. But no, y'all need a smack in y'all head. Ain't nothing more dumb than voting 100% of the time for the last 40, 50 years for one political party, 92%. So 100% of the time, you voted 92% or up for the Democrat Party in the last 40, 50 years. You can't tell me that's the type of people you want to drive your business to. It's crazy. I know. I'm getting triggered.
For the president-elect or a president to
inefficient.
It's appropriate for people in your industry to try to create division and to try to create narratives anytime these things happen. Now, you're not as interested in doing that because Newsom is a D. If Newsom was a Republican, you guys would you would have him nailed to the wall for what they're doing over there.
Absolutely.
And I know we've dealt with it. We just assume in Florida, anytime something happens, it's going to be politicized by the media. So you guys sitting in judgment of Donald Trump, I mean, excuse me, I think your track record of politicizing these things is very, very bad.
Okay, last question. Newsom should resign and that the wildfires are all his fault. So do you agree with those comments?
I remember when we had the Surfside Tower collapse, I had people from the Washington Post trying to blame me for it immediately without having any facts or anything. Oh, he didn't declare a state of emergency. First of all, state of emergency doesn't mean you can't respond. It's all that. Excuse me?
Biden did it. I think that's what she's saying.
Well, but what I'm telling you is you guys are trying to make an issue of it when I have watched from this seat. In fact, when I got elected governor, I was meeting with some of the other Republican governors, and what they would say is, hey, if you have a natural disaster, just know media's coming at you, they're going to do it. It's not the same. That mayor of L.A., if that were a Republican mayor, I could only imagine what that would do. I mean, you know the fires are at high risk, and you try to go to Africa or wherever she was to go on some type of voyage. You should have been there preparing and doing that, and yet I don't see a lot of heat being directed in that thing. And so, I'd like to see some balance on how this is done. You could criticize the president-elect, but I think you also have to hold these other people accountable, and I have not seen that.
See, he's smart. He got a lot of toe licking and toe sucking to do. You know what I mean? And I understand. Look, I know DeSantis is me being an idiot, okay? Being a podcaster, entertaining, but you do got a lot of toe sucking to do. Because boy, we will if Trump lost this election, we will put every inch every inch of our power, our megaphone against you, and all of the crazy people that think they're going to become presidents besides Trump, because you guys did some stuff that could have hurt him. But, the people, the people that matter, their eye was on the ball. I'm still happy with the Trump voters. They showed up. They showed up. But you could have heard him. So you got a little toe sucking to do. But what he's saying is very objective, and he's not even caring about the political situation. He's not caring about the 2028 election or 2032 election. He's literally responding to the things that he went through, and he's right. Y'all got to show power to Trump. Trump fought the fight that y'all would never, ever want to put yourself in the situation, because it would mean that you would need to be barbaric, and you wouldn't be able to connect with your wives and people that you know in that way. Only Trump can fight the fight that he fought against the Me Too, against ideological point of view, against the DEI, against all the Republicans' warmongering status in the corrupt intelligence agency, and our DOJ, and the investigation corruption, our judges, our U.S. attorney. Only Trump could put himself on the line. Because none other billionaires, Warren Buffett wouldn't put himself on the line. Bloomberg wouldn't put himself on the line. Tim Cook wouldn't put himself on the line. Elon Musk wouldn't put himself on the line like that. It's easy to buy a Twitter. It's easy. Keep your rhetoric, keep your idealism point of view inside Twitter and X. You could do that. To run for a political office and have the CIA 100% using all their resources, all their money, the FBI using all his resources, all his money, attorney generals using all their time, all their money, all their resources, having a president and a vice president that's intelligent in prosecution coming 100% at you. Y'all trust me, you needed Trump. So all y'all say thank you. You are a warrior. And anything about your life from this moment on, we gonna see it through. We gonna get your statue. We gonna get your presidential library. We gonna make sure your name is in infamy for the next 30 years. That's what y'all owe Trump for what he did over the last 12 years. Don't get me started. I know I went in on a tangent, okay? I know I did. I know I went off.
So the Republican governor said.
Okay, so that's it. So let's go to the next clip. I know. I told y'all this is informative. This aftermath. Newsom.
This is what
that's the governor.
Friends do. This is what relationships are all about. Friends in need, being there for one another. We want to be there for the people of Mexico in times of need and disasters, and we're incredibly humbled and grateful that the president was willing to send the crew you see behind me. They'll be out on the line
after the fact.
24, 36 hours.
After the fact, they said Mexico says like when it's all over and it's all done, all the fire's gone. All the fires are down. Even if they get a little startup, it ain't got that much to burn because it's already been burned. So it's irrelevant to get firefighters from Mexico. It's dumb. Okay? It's completely idiotic to get Mexico firefighters when everything is done. Okay? It's all over. Okay? You might as well send the Mexico National Guard in and let them kind of help clean up some of that rubble. It's ridiculous. I'm sorry for yelling. I'm sorry. It's so stupid. It ain't nothing to talk about. It's idiotic.
And then, sorry, just one more question. So we are expecting severe gusts of wind in the coming days. Is the city prepared regarding fire hydrants and water pressure?
I believe the city is prepared.
Not firefighters from Mexico.
In a couple of hours from a couple of the other city departments.
Like, do you got some water coming? You got some water in the fire hydrants? Do you got that? Or we don't need no whack ass firefighters from Mexico. Okay, we got great firefighters in 50 states. We'll get them. We're coughing them. But what he doing? He's doing a political thing to give validity to that whack ass Mexico president. You get what I'm saying? We don't need your stupid firefighters. Keep them where you're going. Put some guns in their hand and let them go fight the cartel. How about that? Utilize them very well. For them to come over here and live the life of luxury in our hotels, come on, it's ridiculous. Don't even get me started on this stuff. I'm getting triggered pretty bad. I know. I'm out of control right now, y'all. I apologize.
Is prepared. I'm going to receive reports in a couple of hours from a couple of the other city departments. And Chief, if you want to expand on that. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, Chief. Any other comments? Okay, thank you. And
sorry, just one more question.
That's it for that video. She ain't saying that much.
At least 10 people are dead and over 300,000 people have been ordered or warned to evacuate as wildfires continue to devastate parts of Southern California. Some residents have been quick to blame Democratic leaders in the state, including Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass and the governor of California, Gavin Newsom. Let's turn now to Democratic strategist Mariel Saez and Republican strategist Matt Gorman. Thanks to both of you for being with us. Mariel, I want to spend over 300,000.
I hate the commentary situation, but I'll let them talk for a little bit, and then I'm going to cut from them because I don't care what their opinions are. I want facts, data, real information.
A neighborhood burned to the ground. We did not see a single.
And Republican strategist Matt Gorman. Thanks to both of you for being with us. Mariel, I want to start with you by listening to a clip from our own Jonathan Vigliotti, who questioned Mayor Bass earlier this week.
Mayor, LA County is in a panic state. For several hours, we watched as hundreds of homes in a neighborhood burned to the ground. We did not see a single fire engine. There was fear and there was a lot of confusion. Shortly after the fire started, a press release was put out warning of this fire behavior. My question to you is, what explains this lack of preparation and rapid response?
Let me just say, first and foremost, my number one focus, and I think the focus of all of us here with one voice, is that we have to protect lives, we have to save lives, and we have to save homes.
Talking
points. We will absolutely do an evaluation to look at what worked, what didn't work.
No answers.
Obviously, we know President-elect Trump has been quite critical, not only of the mayor, but also Governor Newsom as well, putting out a number of posts on Truth Social and talking to some of us reporters earlier this week on Capitol Hill.
I love Trump using that Truth Social, man. I'm going to go explore that a little bit more because we all need to be pushing Truth Social. We all need to be doing that. We all need to be making that platform huge. It's a big F you to all these people that are trying to control our narrative, the way that we communicate, the way that we feel free to communicate, that we have the right, our First Amendment right to be as vulgar, be disgusting, be horrible if we want. It's our First Amendment right. And if you don't use your First Amendment right in practice, if you don't use it, then you don't even have it. This overwhelming decorum that we live in, it has destroyed the purpose of a man, the purpose of women, the purpose of family, the purpose of society. It's just ridiculous. It's too much decorum. It's too much ignorant stuff going on and illogical things going on, and we can't even call it out because we're trying to keep a conducive decorum with each other, and we need to just be calling each other out. We need to get into the middle of the room and have it out, but we can't do that. Because I'm wrong, you wrong, but we ain't gonna really talk about how wrong we are. It's ridiculous.
But is there's some validity to some of this criticism that these leaders are facing, and particularly when we're talking about someone like Governor Newsom, who appears to have higher, potentially presidential
she's
ambitions.
just bloviating for a whole
Could
minute.
this be a black eye for him in the future?
Well, certainly there's going to be time for reflection and an examination of the immediate response. But right now, you know, the hard work of containing fires.
I'm ready to cut this clip off because I just don't like the bloviate. I don't like the opinion, personal opinion. It has no purpose, no value in our ears where we can take it in and even vet it and process it. It has nothing to it. It has nothing. It's no education to it. It's no purpose to it. It's just it's like just talking points and just filling up the space with no legitimacy that it should ever have been there.
Saving lives, consoling the survivors is first and foremost. And so I think what we want to see from our leaders right now is both empathy, but also action. And you're seeing that from the federal government, the state, and local coming together. You saw
liberal
President Biden on the ground. You've seen him immediately approve major disaster declaration, deploy federal resources, coordinate across
Go
states.
to the Republicans so I
also
can
bringing in
cut this
partners
off.
from Canada. So really a whole of government
Trying to be fair.
exercise to contain fires, to save lives. And we need to see that continue in the days and weeks to come. We also have to remember this is going to be a very difficult and long recovery for the residents. They've lost lives, homes, churches, schools, also a sense of peace and security. And so I think it's important for the president-elect and incoming administration to understand and acknowledge that this is going to also fall on their shoulders.
She's nothing. A commentary or a journalist or whatever the hell she is. I'm not even really looking at it. But whatever she is, she ain't the equivalent of a Trump. Don't give advice. And this is why I always say the Republicans, Democrats, politicians, like news anchors, podcasters, social influencers, motivational speakers, like all you whack-ass people, stop giving Trump advice. You ain't no Trump. That means he don't need your advice. If he got to where he got to, if he accomplished what he accomplished, he don't need no advice of a person that did less than him. Okay? So shut up. Report the facts. Give your opinion on it. But give give an objective analysis opinion of it. Like I do. I say a lot of rhetoric and crazy stuff that's in my own voice. But whatever I'm saying, if you were to vet it, if you were to see if even my own personality and my point of view and stuff, if it holds up to scrutiny, you'll see that it does. So I don't even communicate even my rants, and it comes back to bite me. How am I doing that? Because I don't say stuff that ain't true. I don't know anything that's not true. I haven't let it have a home in my head, in my heart, in my soul. So whatever I communicate, it is what it is. It's the truth. It's truly vetted. So I don't need to hear opinions from spectators, pontificators.
It's going to be important to work with those state and local partners to see the residents through this absolute tragedy. And then, you know, doing the important work of examining the response and improving it going forward.
Yeah, Matt, at the same time, I mean, the president-elect did say that he would be willing to work with the leaders of California once he takes office. But that being said, we've oftentimes seen some of these major natural disasters get politicized, most recently with Hurricane Helene. I mean, you know,
that's the next
does
question.
the president-elect need to tone it down a bit?
Well, again, we're playing their game now. This is the same administration with Kamala Harris trying to play campaign games with Ron DeSantis, talking about phone calls in the middle of a campaign, where this is also the same administration who many times during, God forbid, terrible mass shootings, who have absolutely no problem politicizing it, talking immediately while things are still happening on the ground about the politics of it and what needs to be done. So I have zero sympathy for this administration, whether they're in California or in Washington, because we're now playing by their game. So we're going to be talking very much so that the critical response that Karen Bass had when she was down in Ghana had to be shamed back. Gavin Newsom having no idea in an interview with CNN about what the effects were, about there was no water coming out of the hydrant, saying the local people are dealing with that. And again, when Joe Biden was in the state yesterday talking about the response, but then pivoting and saying, well, the good news is I am a great-grandfather now. So the response has been completely out of touch, and they're going to be held accountable for that. And in many ways, what we've seen now is years.
They got people having a dialogue in the background. Ridiculous.
Of bad policy, candidly, whether that's with the proposition that they passed allowing for more reservoirs.
Okay, so I gave him enough time. Next clip.
And I apologize, Tom Hansen with CBS News. What, if any, concern is there about animosity from the incoming Trump administration toward California and its efforts to fight this fire? And that's Mayor Bass. That's directly to you.
Actually, I'm not worried about that. I mean, I joined in the invitation to the incoming president to come to Los Angeles. I joined with the supervisor and the governor, spoke directly with the incoming administration yesterday. It was a fine call, so I'm not concerned about that. There are also, as I mentioned before, a number of my former colleagues who are up for confirmation. I feel like
Yeah, I can't wait till he go there and clown them about that the forest maintenance of and maintaining the forest. If you ain't got if you're a drought country, clean up some of that leaves and stuff. But it's too late now. It's all burnt now. You don't need to clean it up now. It's ridiculous. You failed.
California and its efforts.
Actually, I'm not worried about that. I mean, I joined in the invitation to the incoming president to come to Los Angeles. I joined with the supervisor and the governor, spoke directly with the incoming administration yesterday. It was a fine call, so I'm not concerned about that. There are also, as I mentioned before, a number of my former colleagues who are up for confirmation. I feel like I will have good relations there.
Is the incoming president expected to come here?
I believe so. I mean, it was a positive response yesterday.
Yeah, I will say, knowing what I know, and I represent Altadena, which is probably the most diverse community that in the 5th District, this is the exact constituency that he was talking to. You've got socioeconomics from all walks of life, and they are suffering. So I am confident that this president will come.
Well, my conversation also yesterday was throwing around possible points of timing.
Hey, it's Will Kane. Click.
Okay. Next.
Fox News alert, the death toll rises to 16 across L.A. County, and those returning home find their possessions left in ruins.
And what?
Okay, sorry about that. I'm having a little slow. I don't know what's going on, but let's let it catch up to us. Let's let it catch up to us.
Fox News alert, the death toll rises to 16 across L.A. County, and those returning home find their possessions left in ruins.
And one California family is going viral, singing in prayer after finding the only thing left standing on their property, a statue of the Virgin Mary.
That's hardcore. Clean, too.
Jackie and Peter Halpin, the owners of that Altadena property, join us now. So describe for us what it was like when you went back to your property, everything is gone, and what you find is that beautiful statue.
Okay, I'll go ahead and start, but I need to warn you that it's very emotional for us, so we may break down in tears while we're doing this interview.
We'll probably be there with you.
First of all, let me say my bride and I are lifelong friends from junior high, and we grew up in the little town of South Pasadena.
Okay. Look, y'all. Look, man. Limit the time.
Just south of Altadena. Able to join us there, our adult children. And all those adult children combined, we have 14 grandchildren. Go viral at all. It was pretty much just a family thing. But the response from the community is...
Yeah, okay. They're talking about, the psychological makeup of the situation. Next.
Hey, Max, it's Anita Vogel. We're all, of course, watching to see, hoping that the fire doesn't jump the 405 freeway and spread into places like Bel Air. We're all hoping that that doesn't happen. But I want to ask you about where you're standing in Malibu. Malibu,
yes.
We're not talking too much about Malibu, but it has been decimated. I have friends there that have lost their homes up Coastline Drive. Yeah. Can you tell us what you're seeing there in Malibu about the homes along PCH and, you know, the ones that are partially in the Palisades but just into Malibu? Tell us what you're seeing.
Yeah, so for those who know the area, you know, you have the area around Malibu Pier, around Nobu. That area is relatively intact. But when you go more towards Santa Monica, toward Pacific
one of the most
Palisades,
expensive restaurants in the world, it's intact and everything around it is burnt. Yeah. It's just ridiculous. Okay, let me let them kind of report this and then.
Yeah, so for those who know the area, you know, you have the area around Malibu Pier, around Nobu. That area is relatively intact. But when you go more towards Santa Monica, toward Pacific Palisades, down the PCH, which is where we're standing right now, that's really where you're seeing very significant damage. Let's just give you a little bit of a picture of what that looks like. So right now we're looking towards Santa Monica now, down the coastline, and you can see house after house. Essentially what happened here is one house after another caught fire, and it was like a chain reaction, like dominoes. Fortunately, some homes are still standing, but it's horrible to report that not many are left.
Yeah, it is terrible. Max Gordon, thank you so much for giving us a bird's eye view there. We so appreciate it, and stay safe.
All right, let's get to this. California Governor Gavin Newsom is doing some damage control, appearing on multiple media outlets to shift blame on this historic disaster.
We had my team start talking to local leaders, saying what's going on. Our state, and
you weren't getting straight answers from.
I was getting
leaders.
Different answers, and so for me, that's not a story. When you start getting different answers, then I'm not getting the actual story.
So not only is he blaming local officials, but he's also targeting the president-elect, Newsom claiming that he's afraid that Donald Trump will withhold aid to California.
Are you worried that he might actually do that?
Well, I mean, he's done it, but that's his style. And you know, we take it seriously to the extent that in the past, it's taken a little bit more time. I've been pretty expressive about that in the context of someone threatening our first responders in terms of supporting the immediacy of their needs.
And the far-left media is helping him spread this narrative, but watch how local officials are fighting back.
How troubled are you that there's a lack of communication between the city of Los Angeles and the incoming Trump administration?
There isn't a lack of communication between the city of Los Angeles and the incoming Trump administration. I have spoken with representatives of the incoming administration.
What, if any, concern is there about animosity from the incoming Trump administration toward California and its efforts to fight this fire? And that's Mayor Bass, that's directly to you.
Actually, I'm not worried about that.
Is it not disturbing that nearly a week after what could ultimately be the worst disaster in the state's history, that no one in leadership at the county, local, and seemingly the governor's level has had a conversation with the incoming president?
Well, given the fact that the administration is being put together, I don't necessarily agree with you on that.
Okay, so there's a lot of different layers here, but
it's ridiculous. Oh, it's a mess. See how the narratives are? By even the media, those are journalists asking those questions, and your job is to figure out what did they do? What's up with the fire hydrant? Why do you guys got decades of knowing that you got issues, drought here, in dry woods, and what are you doing? But no, they start talking about Trump. Trump. You gonna do this for 4 years, y'all?
Devastating wildfires in Southern California. Overnight, new evacuation orders were issued, this time in the Brentwood section of Los Angeles. Authorities now tell us 11 people have been killed, and that number is expected to rise. 37,000 acres of land have been scorched throughout Los Angeles County. That's equivalent to 10 square miles, an area greater than the city of San Francisco. More than 12,000 homes, businesses, schools, and buildings destroyed, and 150,000 people still under mandatory evacuation orders.
There are 6 major fires burning throughout Los Angeles, the largest of which is the Palisades fire, burning in the upscale Pacific Palisades neighborhood that straddles the Santa Monica Mountains and a strip of beach along the Pacific Ocean. That's where CBS's Maurice Dubois picks up our coverage. Maurice, we are so glad to have you. Good morning.
It's burnt down.
Michelle and Dana, good morning to you. The wind has somewhat died down here this morning, but the National Weather Service is still warning of elevated to critical fire risks for all of Los Angeles and Ventura counties through Wednesday. That's just days away. And as we speak right now, take a look at this. This is just 5 miles away from us, the Palisades fire burning in the distance. It is just hard to get your head around it. An eerie glow in the early morning sky. And now the health department has issued a local health emergency saying the wind and smoke has severely degraded the air quality. It's been 5 days here since 2 of the largest of these fires started, and this morning they're both less than 10% contained. Against that backdrop, questions are now being raised about how state and local officials responded to this unfolding disaster. And for more on that, let's go over to Tom Hansen in nearby Brentwood. Tom, good morning to you.
Hey, Maurice, good morning to you. Well, it's a very active scene behind me. You can see the flames are continuing to rage. And look, you can even see that they are carrying out water drops, which is about to happen right now, where they're going to drop gallons of water onto some of these embers in the hillside. There we go. There it goes right there. To try to put out these flames, it really just highlights what a challenge these firefighters are up against. And as these flames rage, so too do the questions from residents, millions of which got false alarms
daily?
when they weren't actually in any danger. Also, the other question that is growing this morning is whether or not firefighters were well equipped enough to get a handle on the blaze when the flames began.
At night, the hills above West Los Angeles still look like a hellscape. The winds driving the Palisade fire lulled enough for firefighters to use water-dropping helicopters. By day, the devastation is clear. Hundreds of homes in the Pacific Palisade neighborhood are little more than rubble and ashes.
So I came home today, and now it looks like we definitely have to go again, so I'm going.
Do you know where you're headed right now?
Yeah, I do. I have a pool house in Coldwater Canyon, and I hope it doesn't get all the way over there.
To the east, the department has been hammered.
I love, like, this. Look, she's up there. She's like in her 60s, 70s. She should have about a couple houses, because live your life, do what you do, and she got 2 houses in California. So big, and it's so inconvenienced that people, when they gotta be closer to LA, they got a house. When they gotta be closer into like where they really want to be at, they have another house there, and that's how their mindset is. Wild stuff.
Hampered by a lack of resources.
Even with an additional 100 engines, I tell you, we were not going to catch that fire. But with that being said, let me be clear. The $17 million budget cut and the elimination of our civilian positions like our mechanics did and has and will continue to severely impact our ability to repair our apparatus.
She's saying if she's saying that, if she's the one who's running that stuff, and she's saying that that's what's kind of messed up the effectiveness of them fighting this thing or been proactive towards it, and the only person that took that away, the $17 million away from her, was the mayor. So she's saying this is the mayor's fault.
California Governor Gavin Newsom is calling for an investigation into why some hydrants in the Pacific Palisades neighborhood ran dry at the height of the fire, and why a 117 million gallon reservoir was out of service. Meanwhile, some residents want to know why 10 million Californians received false emergency evacuation warnings. CBS News' Jonathan Vigliotti posed the question to Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass.
You have millions of people here who get these alerts. They are ignoring them. There is a real threat here. What is your message to your constituents who are losing faith?
I want the residents of Los Angeles region to have faith. We are doing everything we can to bring the situation under control.
While so much has been lost in less than a week, there are glimmers of hope. captured in these images of a stranded dog and its rescue, prompting an outpouring of support. Max was taken in by a local dog rescue, which has since received a flood of donations for all of its residents.
Thank you, Whittier. Thank you, Los Angeles. The way the city of Los Angeles is coming together to help each other, it's overwhelming.
And for the people here, help is on the way as well. There are dozens of food, clothing, and supply drives happening all throughout the weekend across LA. Maurice.
Okay, so that kind of gives you, that's pretty much what we dealing with this week, y'all.
Elevated critical fire weather conditions are predicted to begin this evening and continue through Wednesday. These winds, combined with low humidities and low fuel moistures, will keep the fire threat in Los Angeles County high.
Los Angeles County issuing new mandatory evacuation orders for people west of the Palisades fire near the coast. Meanwhile, to the north, several Southern California institutions already have been evacuated as the Eaton fire continues to grow, including NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Fire crews have been working to protect that campus, which runs dozens of missions, including the Mars Perseverance rover. Our next guest, Jason Rhodes,
are protected and
yeah, we don't need to hear. Just give us some reporting. Okay, I'll listen to a little bit of what she's got to say. You know I don't like it. You know I don't like commentary. You know, I do my own commentary. Just give me the facts. Give me the facts. Give me the facts.
which runs dozens of missions, and many of those of their colleagues were destroying NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Fire crews have been working to protect that
county high.
Los Angeles County issuing new mandatory evacuation orders for people west of the Palisades fire near the coast. Meanwhile, to the north, several Southern California institutions already have been evacuated as the Eaton fire continues to grow, including NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. Fire crews have been working to protect that campus, which runs dozens of missions, including the Mars Perseverance rover. Our next guest, Jason Rhodes and Alina Kissling, both worked there. Unfortunately, their home and many of those of their colleagues were destroyed in this fire. Jason, how much notice did you get? Were you under evacuation orders, and how did that process work out?
No, we didn't get very much notice at all. In fact, we knew that there was going to be a huge windstorm, and there was, of course, a fire risk given how dry everything was. And we knew before we went to bed that there was a fire in the area. And in fact, right before we went to bed, we took a picture of the glow of the fire off in the distance. But we continued through the night to monitor the threat, and we were never in an evacuation zone. But Alina, to her credit, said she really thought that we needed to get a bag ready. And I said, okay, let's get a bag ready. And then our power went out, and we had a battery, and I was worried that the battery would run out. And so I went to get the car out of the garage so that we'd be ready in case we had to evacuate. And in the 20 feet from the house to the garage, it was literally the worst hellscape I've ever walked through, howling winds and smoke. And I was covered in ash in just a 20-feet walk. And I walked back inside my house. I said to my wife and 3-year-old daughter, put on masks, no more packing. We're going right now.
Yep.
We got about a mile away before our phones buzzed and said mandatory evacuation. So it was all happened very quickly. And we were not able to get very much stuff together, but we escaped with our lives, which was the important thing.
Yeah, but your house apparently, Alina, is gone. How long until you found out what the situation was?
So we left our home around 3 a.m. And we found ourselves at Jason's sister's house, which was about 15 miles away, so on the edge of the evacuation zone. By about 5 a.m., we received an alert on our phones that our rear door burglar alarm had gone off. And initially, we were quite concerned that somebody was taking advantage of the evacuation and looting the houses. But within the next 4 minutes, every single alarm tripped in our house. And it just took 4 minutes for our house to burn to the ground. That's what we think.
Wow. The evacuation itself, I mean, it sounds like you were slightly ahead of the game, having made the decision even before you got the evacuation orders.
20,
but
he walked outside.
What was it like to try to, get on the road in your car in such a maelstrom, trying to drive out of there?
So a lot of our neighbors had evacuated earlier, but then there were others evacuating at the same time we were when it became clear that the situation was dire. So traffic was somewhat slow, but not terrible. And so we started to look for a hotel because, as I said, we had a 3-year-old daughter and we wanted to get her back to bed. And we looked at a number of hotels that were saying online that they had rooms, but we show up at each one and they didn't. And so finally, as Alina said, we went to my sister's house, but they were without power and just on the edge of the evacuation zone. So eventually we, by 7 a.m., we got back in the car and drove about 40 miles away to some friends that let us stay for a couple days. So overall, I think the evacuations were pretty orderly. Partly because the community knew that with the windstorm and the very dry conditions, that fires might be a problem. But I don't think anyone expected the widespread devastation. And we went back yesterday to see the remains of our house, and it's unrecognizable, our street, because all the houses on our street and neighboring streets are burnt to the ground and just unrecognizable.
Alina.
Okay, it's wild stuff. Wild stuff, man.
For the latest on the Eaton fire burning over 14,000 acres near Pasadena, let's bring in Pasadena Mayor Victor Gordo, who is outside the Rose Bowl Command Center for the agencies responding to the Eaton fire. Mr. Mayor, welcome.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks for having me.
So tell us what's happening there outside the iconic Rose Bowl, so familiar to sports fans around the world.
Well, I think Max had it right. This is absolutely surreal. Not more than 10 days or so ago, we were celebrating pageantry. We were celebrating the best of parades and bringing in the new year with a great football game. And now here we are with complete devastation in our community surrounding the Rose Bowl and the community of Altadena. Devastation is the only word to describe it, both human and property.
There have been questions about the water resources needed to fight those fires. Here's Governor Gavin Newsom on that issue, and I'll get you to respond.
All of us want to know those answers, and I just don't want to wait because people are asking me. I want to know those facts. I want them objectively determined, and that the chips fall where they may. This is not about finger pointing.
Mr. Mayor, how concerned
Nobody saying
are you
it's about finger pointing,
having
but you
the
got to
water
answer
resources they need?
objective questions.
Absolutely, they should have all the resources that they need. This is an unprecedented fire. Combined with the windstorm, it just overwhelmed our system and the capacity of that system throughout the entire area. People had their hoses on. People were doing all that they could to save their own home. And of course, firefighters were fighting courageously. And it did have an impact on the water pressure. I don't think the issue was missing water.
It is because you don't got enough water
in your, at least in the Eden fire. And so we will continue to address that and update the system as well with the state.
I'm sure, as you know, a lot of residents in the hard-hit areas are expressing their frustration. I want to play that and get you to react to it, sir.
The people of California, they're willing to pay high taxes. They're willing to support things that maybe they didn't necessarily agree with because there was a basic assumption that underlined it all, that our government is here to take care of us. But now in a situation like this, when there's total mismanagement, when people are scared, when there's 0% containment, people are asking themselves the question, what did all those tax dollars go for?
Have you heard those concerns from your own residents, sir?
I have not. But certainly those are, very real emotions. I mean,
everybody losing their house. Oh, it's no problem, sir. Thank you, Mayor. Just to make sure that we get everything we need to rebuild.
On a sloping mountainside.
It's okay. Everything's all right.
Experts tell us,
a Democrat?
It was not only a dangerous situation and a volatile situation.
They ain't put it on there.
In many ways, our response was limited. We couldn't get airplanes up there. We couldn't get helicopters up there. Normally, those would be the number one tools that we would employ in order to stop the fire in its tracks. And so we were limited to hand crews, we were limited to fire trucks, fighting fire from.
Yeah, he's an idiot. Next.
Fox News alert. Right now, fire crews in Los Angeles racing to contain an out-of-control wildfire, bracing for more strong winds to threaten their progress. 16 victims are confirmed dead, and more than 100,000 remain evacuated. Joining us now is the latest with California Fire Battalion Chief David Acuna. Chief, thanks for being with us this morning. Let's start with just an update. How do we feel about containment? What areas are the most threatened as we wake up this morning?
Good morning. Thank you for having me on. Well, honestly, the entire perimeter is threatened. Although we are 11 and 15% containment for the Palisades and Eaton, respectively. The concern is these winds as they go back and forth. Adam did a great job of pointing out all the weather of the Santa Ana winds. One of the elements that we look at as well, though, is that all that air ends up being a pocket off the ocean. Well, as soon as the winds stop, the winds go the other direction. So we've been dealing with these battling winds that threaten every inch of that line, which is why we're being so cautious with the containment.
Can't fight wind, dude.
So, Chief, right now, as we stand here today, how do you feel about the resources available to you? Do you have everything you need to best fight these fires?
Everything's perfect.
We have more than 12,000 firefighters assigned to these incidents, and with more on the way. With 7 states contributing, as well as Canada and Mexico, it's all hands on deck, and we're thankful that everyone on the Western region and internationally are coming to our aid.
So let me ask you a couple questions of personal curiosity as we watch this fire and the firefighting unfold. We see a lot from the helicopters, the super scoopers. It's on the screen right now. We see fire retardant being dropped. Tell me a little bit. You drop water, you drop retardant. Is the aim to hit the area of the fire? Is it to aim ahead of where you think the fire is headed? Is it both? Tell me a little bit about the strategy from an aerial perspective in fighting these fires.
So helicopters primarily drop the water, and their goal is to slow the fire down enough to let crews to get in. Aircraft provide fixed-wing aircraft provide 2 different elements. So the retardant can be used directly on the line to slow the fire down so crews can get in. But it also is designed to create areas like, say, on the ridges where you saw that aircraft just drop right now, to be able to create a line that the fire won't be able to get past. So it is a combination of direct and indirect attack.
Right. So I was looking at the evacuation zone. I don't know if we have that map that we can put up, but just with a little bit of a working knowledge of Southern California, what I saw when it comes to the Palisades fire is that it's approaching essentially 101, it looks like, on the northern side, and 405. These are highways on the eastern side. One, do those highways provide you a natural fire break that helps in fighting the fire? 2, they also represent, those highways, population centers. So are those real concerns for you? That would be, I would assume, on the 101, like Sherman Oaks, Woodland Hills. Over at the 405, you're talking about Brentwood, places like that.
Well, you're absolutely right on both points. They can be a fire break, especially when we have, relatively low winds, 5-10 miles an hour. They're great fire breaks, but they're also population centers. Now, when we have 60 to 100 mile per hour winds, like we saw on Tuesday and Wednesday, that's just simply not going to be sufficient, which is why we struggled so early on this fire, because it was just blowing so incredibly fast.
Okay, last question.
Okay.
Before we go, Chief, I asked you what you have available to you today. Is it satisfactory for what you need to fight these fires? I don't want to push you into the blame.
Yeah, I see. Well, let's see if he's going to ask about the water.
Game unless you feel like it's warranted. But if you look back on how prepared you guys were, what was made available to you in the beginning stages of these fires, do you feel like you were best served to fight these fires from the authorities in terms of water and everything else you need?
Yes, actually, we did. We moved a number of resources from CAL FIRE from the north because they have sufficient rain and snow up there, all the way down to Southern California to prepare. We didn't know where the fires were going to be, so that as soon as we did have a fire break out, we immediately engaged.
Okay. David Acuna, California Fire Chief, Battalion Chief, thank you for being with us this morning.
California, like the big shot. He gonna say about the governor's side. He ain't gonna be black saying nothing bad about the governor. It's ridiculous. It's a you gotta know what he didn't do and question him on his inefficiency. If there's any inefficiency from the state representatives of California or the actual the California battalion, whatever he is, like, what's up with the water, dude? Well, why do you guys not have no solutions for certain things that's going on? Why are the fire hydrants going? And if they like, hey, it's just what it is. It's just the way it is. Everything worked out perfectly. It just this it results of perfect. Okay. Okay. You gonna take that? Take it. Take that.
Thank you, Griff. And for more on the wildfires ripping through parts of Southern California, let's bring in criminal defense attorney and evacuee of the fire, Brian Claypool. Brian, I mentioned just a few minutes ago that the mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass, is about to step to the mic along with federal authorities for an update. But just about an hour or so ago, we did receive an update from county officials. Here's the sheriff. Take a listen.
Evacuation orders are approximately at 153,000 residents that are under the evacuation orders, and approximately 57,000 structures are still at risk. Regarding evacuation warnings, approximately 166,000, or a little over 100.
Sorry about that. That was my fault. I do want to hear what he got to say. I don't really want to hear what the lawyer got to say that much, but I do want to hear this guy.
166,000 residents are under evacuation warnings.
The bottom line right now, Brian, from the sheriff there is that the winds are picking up and they're only going to get worse over the next 24 to 48 hours. Your thoughts right now as we sit here?
Hey, Alicia, thanks for having me. Look, my feelings have gone from shock and trauma when at 5 a.m. early Wednesday morning, I'm forced to run out of my house with my teenage daughter, a 9-month-old child, a nanny with one pair of clothes for 3 days, and running to a hotel. So I was shocked and traumatized. Then I went through a feeling of sadness, right? Looking at those images, having people reaching out to me. I've known several people have lost homes, churches burned down, you name it, right? People's lives are just destroyed forever trying to rebuild. Then my feelings moved to outrage. Why? Because I hope Karen Bass gets up when you cover her press conference and announces her resignation today. She should resign and explain to everybody as well about this alleged leak memo as well, in which she wanted to cut the fire department budget another $49 million within a week before the wildfires. That's been reported. I haven't verified it. Also, let's ask Karen Bass a question for me. Why she agreed to pay the new head of the LA Department of Water and Power, a woman named Janice Quinones, almost $400,000 more than the prior head of DWP. Explain that. Maybe she could have used some of that money to hire more firefighters. And if she had gotten her way with another
some of that water from
cuts in the fire department, guess what? 16 fire departments would have been shut down.
Just clean up the actual forest floor, like Trump said.
Bass for allowing that reservoir to drain 117 million gallons of water. This isn't fiction. This isn't politics. This is human decency. She allowed that to down. And what about the San Ynez Reservoir? Is anybody investigating Quinones and Karen Bass for allowing that reservoir to drain 117 million gallons of water? This isn't fiction. This isn't politics.
So they had a reservoir that was holding water, but somebody drained it before this forest fire started. That's wow. And I think on the one of the clips, they showed the reservoir and it was kind of down, but it was somebody drank it. Somebody specifically drank it, and it's ridiculous. So let's see. Let's let him finish up.
Fires. How are you not there with your team? Who gives a heck about Ghana? What is her butt doing in Ghana? Who cares about an inauguration in Ghana? Get your butt in town and take care of your people. And now we're dealing with what you're talking about. In Pasadena, we have contaminated water. Contaminated. People can't even drink water, can't shower. What is she doing about that? What is she doing about looting that's happening within 600 feet of where I hope my home is still standing? What's she doing about that? Why didn't she have the National Guard in place before this went down? Lisa,
right.
Look, I'm not trying to play. This isn't about politics. This is about we live in an ecosystem in Southern California where it's well known about fires. It's well known about mudslides and earthquakes. Yep. You know that that's what you get when you want to become the mayor of Los Angeles. And you want to play these silly games about wanting to build homes for the homeless in LA instead of taking that money and taking care of people in LA County who have worked their whole lives to get homes. Take care of those people. Forget.
Yeah, so he's launching up. He's launching up. 2 more clips, y'all, and then we're done. I know this was a lot, but it gave you a big broad spectrum of this this California raging firestorm. Okay? And this is the aftermath. And they just innocent bystanders. That's pretty much what we get out of this. There's nothing they could do. They just gotta hope that the wind don't do nothing because the firefighters not gonna do nothing. The engineers not gonna do nothing. It's just the way it is. That's and they're going forward like this with the same situation, but I don't think you should be rebuilding on any of that. People should take their money and move out of California.
I mean, you walk through and you see the despair on people's faces, not knowing what their next step is, not knowing if their house is still standing. Those that know their house isn't there anymore don't know what to do. I mean, I had to take a few moments to kind of put myself together and kind of cry, and then you go back to serve. It just breaks your heart.
You cry and go back to serve. Well, that's shelter volunteer Stephanie Porter on the overwhelming emotional impact the fires have had on residents and first responders. You know, disasters can also take a heavy toll on mental health for those on the front line. Someone who knows a lot about the impact is Giovanni Rocco. He's a former police officer. He went undercover with the FBI to bust mobsters, co-hosted the podcast Inside the Life, and is a first responder support specialist with the nonprofit group that helps law enforcement survive.
Yeah, I don't know what
first.
we listen to him for, but I'll let him talk, and then we'll get on out of here.
Rocco, he's a former police officer. He went undercover with the FBI to bust mobsters, co-hosted the podcast Inside the Life, and is a first responder support specialist with the nonprofit group that helps law enforcement survive first. Giovanni, welcome. As this stretches into a week, what are the brave firefighters, the police officers, the medics, those on the front lines facing?
Thanks for having me, Eric. First and foremost, I want to send my regards and my heartfelt condolences to those victims in California and the residents. Right now, they are running at 200 miles an hour to do their work, to do the job that they trained for, and to complete the mission at hand. At 200 plus miles an hour, you have 14,000 men and women that are bravely fighting those fires, and it will be the aftermath of the effects.
Yeah, I'm not really interested in him talking about how much, we know the firefighters in California, they're awesome, and the situation, but we need solutions, we need questions, we need communication on what's been going on. So last one, Gavin Newsom, and then we're going to wrap this up.
Kristen Welker is moderator of Meet the Press. Kristen, good morning. It's so good to see you. You have an exclusive this morning with Governor Gavin Newsom of California. As we just saw in Dana Griffin's piece, he's come under criticism along with Mayor Bass and other officials in Southern California for the preparation and the response to these fires. What's he saying about that?
Well, Willie, this exclusive interview for Meet the Press conducted by our Jacob Soboroff was extensive. He does answer that criticism. Has he done enough? Was California prepared to deal with these wildfires? He gives us new details about the investigation that he has called for into why, for example, there was a shortage of water in some locations. He also talks about the fact that he's now doubled the National Guard. Very defiant, says that now California does have what it needs. But he talks about those Santa Ana winds that you just heard Angie talking about. He says that's his biggest concern over the next 48 hours. He answers the criticism also of President-elect Trump, says that he has invited the president-elect to come to California to see the devastation firsthand. We get new insight into whether the two of them have spoken. And he talks about the future, rebuilding, announces a new executive order to cut through some red tape, Willie, to make it easier for people to rebuild. Willie?
Hard to even think at this point about. That's when Kristen has.
Okay, so that's it. That's all they're talking about. So it's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? So, okay. So that's it, y'all. That's give you the update, and all of this is about the. If you're gonna say, okay, what's the situation now? It's that they want to make it easy for people to just start rebuilding their house and not have to worry about like permits for how they rebuilding it and how they the size of the place and all the other stuff, which they pretty much, if they could do whatever they want on the property, because the felt leadership, they better write new law in that they could do whatever they want to the build of the house and everything like that. But it's just about spending billions and billions of dollars to rebuild people's house. They lost everything, but they can rebuild it to try to make it easy for people to stay in California and them not to get major people to outsource. But if their jobs are there, they're gonna wed to the place. You know what I mean? And they all kind of have the same mindset, and they just lost their house. And I think they lost more because, like I said, Mel Gibson lost a 1600 year old book, and I'm only using that as an example to how much bigger things that people probably lost in this scuffle of this fire and stuff, and even the celebrities and all that. And it's just ridiculous. And it's like, but they all are not even trying to think about like, okay, why don't we got stuff set for this? Why is the forest floor like that? And we know it's a drought of rain or whatever the situation, that could be a major problem if a forest fire start. Why no attack on it? Why keep going forward in the same thought process? Say, oh, we ain't gonna do nothing to the forest floor. We're not gonna deal with the dead leaves or none of that. But they probably don't have to now because it's all burnt now. So it's just ridiculous. So liberals are being liberals. California has been California. $500 billion economic system there, and I just don't understand. They got the smartest people there. And it just, I'm not seeing anything in all this hours of reporting that makes me say, Jesus, what's the innovation going on? What's the innovation thought process going on? There's nothing. Look, y'all, I know we did a lot of hours. California Raging Firestorm, part 3 is over officially now. You got part 1, part 2, part 3. Thank you guys. My name is Daris D. McKinney. This is Individual Perspective Podcast. Please like, follow, subscribe. Like, follow, subscribe. Like, follow, subscribe. And please think big and be part of the movement. Be part of the grandeur of Individual Perspective Podcast. And help me build this to the entertainment that you guys want, or the platform that you want to report good news and good stuff. And I'm willing to cover 24 hours a day if I have to. Have different people cover different time slots and everything like that. But I need you guys to help me out with this channel for our panels, our interviews, our different documentaries, different things I want to do on the platform. And I just need your help. So in the description area below the video at the bottom, you'll see a link for the Venmo and PayPal. You guys give $1, $2, $5, make it useful. We're using the app. Just kind of give. We got to do work. We're doing work. I'm trying to upgrade this podcast and level it up to the different things. And you guys got demand. I know what you want. I see what you're watching. I see what you're interacting with on YouTube, on Rumble. And I'm trying to give you that level, but I can't, I need your help. I need your support on this. So $1, $2, $5, whatever you can give into the PayPal and the Venmo. The description's at the bottom. And please do the great thing of like, follow, and subscribe. YouTube, Rumble, Individual Perspective Podcast. I'm your host, Daris D. McKinney. And yes, we are done with this one. And I got another one I've got to do tonight probably. It's about Joy Taylor, because that's such a big thing that people talk about. I want to get my opinion on that. But I'll see you guys on the next episode. Check you out.